what was a big struggle, or if you could go back in time, something you wished you hadn't have been a part of?
I think when I look at it, good buyers are not afraid to take risks, because if you don't take risks, you're not going to find the princess carriages of the world. You're not going to discover hoverboards. And so, just like in baseball, batting average might be low, but you try to hit some home runs and things are good. I mean, I had lots of items I tried or tested or bought and didn't work out, but I was never afraid of that because I knew I could find the next best thing if I was doing that type of stuff.
Matt Woolley Podcast.
Today, our guest is Reid Thornton. Reid, thank you for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Known you for several years. Great guy. Man of Northwest Arkansas. So who is Reid Thornton? By the way, before we get off into Reid, please like and subscribe because I'm told we need to do more of that. So who is Reid? Reid is a husband and father. Reid is went to school, at Colorado College. Has a long history with Walmart. He was a merchant, from 2009 to 2021, merchant leadership program, planning analyst, merchandise planner, associate buyer, buyer for wheels in the toy department, senior buyer for bikes and ride-ons, and merchandising director. And you are currently the co-founder of Spark Strategy.
That's right. It's my life in a nutshell.
Very nice. Okay, so I didn't screw anything up. That's all. We're off to a good start. All right, so let's get into it. So, Reid, where did you grow up?
Grew up in Westminster, Colorado, a suburb of Denver. So pretty much right outside downtown Denver for the majority of my life.
All right, so what was that like?
It was good. Most Colorado guys love the outdoors and love biking going outside, skiing, all that
Beards.
stuff. I was a city boy, so I liked all the sports teams, going to games, doing all that stuff. So I wasn't your typical average Colorado boy. That's also why I'm in Arkansas.
There's a stereotype kind of with Colorado. When somebody says Colorado, there's just an automatic, at least in my head, like, there's a beanie and there's a beard involved, maybe a couple of bracelets,
some flannel.
A backpack, some flannel.
Yeah, definitely not your average Colorado guy, for sure. But
did you do any of that though? I mean,
not really. No, I was a poor kid that was making it through school and finding my way in the rough parts of Denver when I was a kid. So happy to be alive. And
do you ski at all?
I don't.
You don't ski?
The one time I skied, well, I've gone skiing a couple times. The last time I went skiing, my girlfriend at the time and I went to Kansas City.
Okay.
Where it's called Snow Creek.
Yes.
And we went for a weekend. And I actually was skiing, got on the wrong mountain. I think I was on like the expert hill on accident or whatever. Was going down the hill about 80 miles per hour. Couldn't stop. I didn't know how to stop. So I was just flying. So I finally make it to the bottom of the hill and I hit as I'm turning off the hill, I hit ice. And go head and shoulder first right into like a big chunk of ice.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, separated my shoulder and that ruined our weekend getaway a little bit. So no more skiing for Reid. No more skiing for Reid Thornton. No. Big tree fall hard.
So never been skiing before until a couple of years ago. And obviously if you're going to go, you go to Colorado. And so I had, you have these whimsical dreams of what Colorado truly is. And it is a beautiful area. There's nothing like coming over that crest and then all of a sudden seeing the city and seeing, all that is gorgeous. Ended up hanging out in the Vail area and Breckenridge areas and quickly learned that this was not going to be any sort of walk in the park whatsoever. And wasn't smart enough to take a lesson, which that doesn't help.
No, see, I even took lessons. I just didn't learn anything.
Well, I was like, well, I got this. I don't know what I was thinking because I can't roller skate for anything. And I used to skateboard. So I thought I was going to get on that snowboard too and really do it to it. Turns out it's a little bit different. Anyways, skied, just barely getting around. And then I decided I was going to try just a little slope, end up eating it so hard and turned my ankle, and it literally took my ankle about 1.5 years to recover. So horrible time.
Well, at least you don't get any hardware. You don't get any hardware in your shoulders.
You got hardware?
Oh yeah,
plates and stuff.
That screws, something like that.
So when the microwave turns on, do you forget who you are?
Twitch a little bit.
All right. So, well, I will say this. Quick plug for Colorado. One thing I really enjoyed, though, was getting on the snowmobiles.
Oh, that
Did some
fun.
snowmobiling.
Yeah,
that was pretty
cool.
easy. That was easy and fun. So, anyways, that was the best experience I had in Colorado, living beauty. Okay, so you're born and raised Colorado guy.
Yep.
The Colorado kid. That's your new nickname.
Okay.
You're the Colorado kid. Decided to go to Colorado College.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your ambition going to Colorado
Yeah, I was
College?
actually a football player. So
Were you really?
I was.
So you and Adam have a commonality. I did not know.
Yeah,
that.
but Adam actually played D1. I was D3.
Okay.
So D3 football is where you play for the passion because you don't get paid anything to play. So that was my first mistake. But Colorado College is funny. It's actually a small private school in Colorado Springs. It's super expensive to go there, but because I was so poor, they paid like 90% of my way through the FAFSA and all that stuff. So I actually went there, played D3 football, got a 90% of it paid or so. So that was the best deal I got.
Awesome.
So that's where I went.
That's
I actually got recruited by the Ivy League though. Dartmouth flew me out for a football visit.
That's cool.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
But then I got really afraid of moving 2,000 miles away and decided to stay closer to home.
That's all right. Hey, it worked. Looks like it worked out.
It all worked out.
So, what was your ambitions in going? Did you have a career path in mind, or were you just kind of winging it?
Zero.
Okay.
I was raised. My dad used to tell me every morning, get A's and hundreds. Basically, like excel in school, do really well, and the rest of your life will kind of figure itself out. And he was right. Very focused on academics. I was a number 2 in my high school class. So Colorado College is very hard to get into. I actually got in, which I was thankful for.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I actually went there and realized I didn't even have a business degree. So that was fun to learn. I majored in economics.
Oh, wow.
Because that's what they had available. So
does that still carry over today? Your love and you know, your passion and education in economics, does that help you in your current position?
No, not really. I think
so.
The role of college is to create discipline for yourself. You know, and it's all about your network and who you meet, and that's what it's all about. It's not about what you know, it's about who you know. So that's what I think college is all about, and keeping you on track. And you can major in anything and do anything else after. So I don't think your major means a whole lot, but I learned a little bit in economics.
Okay.
You know, supply and demand.
Yeah, right.
Price and stuff.
Well, that's what I was kind of thinking. I was like, I mean, obviously we'll get into your current role, but I was thinking with your current role, I bet that helps. Maybe.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
Sure.
Right. Well, that's I tell everybody all the time. It's also, this is a school of hard knocks that teach you really But so speaking of the school of hard knocks, what a better place to get a school of hard knocks than at Walmart. So how did you transition from going to Colorado College to like, hey, I'm going to go to Northwest Arkansas and work for Walmart?
Yep. It's actually pretty funny. So the chief merchant of Walmart at the time was John Fleming, and he was an alumni from Colorado College. So he actually came to our school, did a talk about Walmart and everything else. And the funny thing is the student body of Colorado College is a lot of very wealthy ski bums from the Northeast. So a lot of the kids after the talk were more like, oh, Walmart puts, small businesses out of business. Walmart's not great. Like nobody talked to him after the talk except for like me and maybe 2 other guys. So I walked up there and said, hey, Walmart sounds great. I'd love it. And it was also, I graduated in 2009. If anyone was around in 2009, the economy was tanking.
Right.
Housing bubble, all the things that went on.
Recession, yeah.
There's some stat that like 60% of college grads didn't get a job that year or something, some crazy stat. So I was like, hey, I'd love to get your business card and learn more about Walmart. So luckily enough, he gave me his card. I got an interview, and the rest is kind of history.
Really? It was that easy? That's awesome.
I think it was more I got lucky that I had a job offer that was a good one. And so I was willing to pack up, move up shop, and move to Arkansas.
Well, that's awesome.
Been here ever since.
All right, so let's take a step back real quick. So you had the opportunity to go to the other college, but you're like, I'm going to keep it local. So I'm assuming by this time you're like, it's time to make some moves.
Yeah, I wasn't afraid of moving. I think at the time it was a good opportunity. I still remember it's paying $22 an hour.
All right.
And as a poor college kid, that sounded pretty good to me. Working for the number one company in the country sounded like a good opportunity. And Arkansas was in 2009, it wasn't what it was today.
No,
so it was a little different, but I was willing to pack it up and start something new.
That's awesome. Okay, so let's walk through because, I'll be honest with you, as far as on this show is concerned, this is the first person that's had all these. It's in the same spot too. So let's walk it up the chain real quick. So started in the merchant leadership program. Get off into a little bit of that. Let's go step by step.
So Walmart would hire a handful of trainees, and it's basically the buyer trainee program. Mm-hmm. So program, for me, it lasted about 9 months. You get to learn all aspects of the business, merchandising, planning, replenishment, in-store, everything. It's basically a trainee program. Mm-hmm. You learn everything about Walmart for about 9 months, and then at the end, you have a big project. If you graduate, you get a job, and you kind of keep marching forward. So that's kind of what it was, and kind of what we did.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that. But here's the thing, too. I don't know if everybody truly understands, and quite honestly, I'm ignorant in a lot of ways to some of these positions. Let's just, for the sake of, since I've got you here, let's go through each of these things. Planning analyst, top level. What does a planning analyst do?
So the planning side of merchandising is kind of like the CFO of the business. Mm-hmm. Your merchants, you're kind of CEO. Mm-hmm. Your planner's kind of your CFO. So crunching the numbers, doing the forecast, making sure financially the business looks good, and making recommendations and analysis based off of that to the buyer, who's kind of like the CEO. So
I gotcha.
Planning analyst means I was just a young kid working with an experienced merchant at the time, thank goodness. He kind of helped show me the ropes and kind of went from there.
Awesome. Okay. Merchandise planner.
So that's a promotion from planning analyst. Same exact job, but just a little bit bigger. So that's actually when I started training in the wheels division of Walmart. So bikes, scooters, skateboards, all that.
Was there a reason for that?
Nope. Luck of the draw.
Okay.
Planning analyst, I actually went over to the construction toys side of the business. So worked with our friends at Lego for a little bit. And did that for about a year or so. And then when I got promoted to planner, I went back to the wheels business and never really left for the next decade or so. So
nice. Okay. Associate buyer.
Yep. So that's when your first stab at being the CEO of a small business. Typically buying a small category. I think I was buying bike accessories at the time. So all your helmets, pumps, locks, seats, all that fun stuff. Real sexy business. And that was my first foray into buying. I remember we were the first team to bring in the 3D helmet. So if you ever see the Mohawk helmets, right? Unicorns,
That's
we actually
cool.
we launched that when I was an associate buyer for the first time ever.
That's awesome.
And so now those helmets are actually still, some of those are still in the line. So, I worked on that about 10 years ago or so.
That's awesome. Okay. So, obviously, buyer. Let's get off into that.
Same kind of gig, but just a little bit higher. So, shout out to Craig Makita. He was kind of the senior merchant over that division for a long time. He showed me a lot, taught me everything I knew.
Is this the guy you said a minute ago that kind of showed you?
Yeah, I had two really good mentors. Craig Makita and Andy Prince both had been merchants at Walmart for over 20 years, knew everything about the company. They were still around when they were writing POs on legal pads and supplier meetings and handing it over, and they were buying stuff. So they had tons of knowledge about Walmart, literally taught me probably everything I knew, and really helped mold me into, the merchant and the salesperson I kind of am today.
Were they, there's a term that gets thrown around in the industry a lot, gut buyers. Were they gut buyers?
Craig was definitely a gut buyer. He had an eye for merchandise and an eye for product, which he kind of helped teach me. But he would literally say, I would ask, he'd want to buy 10,000 pieces of something. I'd be like, Craig, why 10,000? What do you know about that? And he'd just sit back in his chair and go, 10,000 would be the right number. So literally a gut buyer. He's done that in meetings before, and actually he definitely was that. Andy was a little bit more data driven, but he showed me how to do things, the right way with data and everything else. Craig was a great gut buyer, one of the best there ever was.
That's awesome. So you're kind of blessed to have the best of both worlds, which is really kind of, in my experience with design science, kind of the dynamic that exists today. It's very data driven, probably more data driven than it's ever have been, but having that old school gut training alongside.
Well, it's also the right thing for all partnerships, right? Like, you don't want someone that thinks exactly like you do. You want someone that thinks different, because together y'all will come up with some great stuff. Right. I was very fortunate, very blessed to have both those guys as mentors, and kind of helped me rise through the ranks.
All right. So to senior buyer.
Yeah. Same old thing, more responsibility. Funny thing about me is at Walmart, a lot of people move categories, every 3 years or so, learn something new, do something different. I never really left the wheels category, so I guess I was doing a good enough job that they kept promoting me throughout the ranks there. But senior buyers, when Craig finally moved on, he was the wheels buyer for about 10 years. I worked with him for probably 6 or 8 of those, and he actually went to the paint department for a while. So I got to then lead the boat by myself.
How'd that feel?
It was great. I was confident because Craig taught me everything I needed to know. So I wasn't going in there blind, and I went in there guns a-blazing. So.
Awesome. And then finally, merchandising director.
Yeah, that's when you're doing the same old thing, more responsibility. I think there, though, like, the last 2 roles at Walmart, I really built a team that was super strong, that I was super proud of, and I love everybody that was on it. We actually won Merchant Team of the Year in 2020, which was a huge award. It was actually a goal of mine when I first started at Walmart. I saw Craig have like 8 Buyer of the Year plaques, and I was like, man, I want one of those, So it was always a goal of mine, and thankfully we reached it. But it was a team effort, so I always say we won Team of the Year. And it was where, a lot of things happened. The one thing that makes me a little different, the resume looks kind of boring, but we've piloted omni-channel merchandising at Walmart. So in 2016, back then, store buyers and .com buyers were different. They worked in different areas. They were all in San Bruno. We were in Bentonville. And that's kind of how things ran. Well, me and my .com buyer didn't see eye to eye most of the time. So when she actually left the company, me and my team volunteered to do it for free. We're like, hey, we want to do everything. Let us try it. Let us be the guinea pig for this, and let's see what happens. And we learned a lot over those 4 years, got to the point where we got really good at it, and the whole company transitioned to that model in 2020. So we tried to help pave the way to figure it out, which was a huge challenge, but it was a lot of fun too. It made buying the same categories, still learning, still doing new things, and kind of disrupting everything. So we had a lot of fun doing it.
That's awesome. So now you're the co-founder of Spark Strategy.
I am.
We're going to skip around a little bit here.
Okay.
But so what does Spark Strategy do?
Spark Strategy helps suppliers be more successful at Walmart. And we also try to be the merchant's right-hand guy. The beauty of us is that all of us were at Walmart. And so we all have that experience of what Walmart's going through, what they look at, what they're looking for, how they need things done. And so we know what a best-in-class supplier looks like. And so that's what we try to deliver on behalf of our clients each and every day. Because we used our merchant mindset and that merchant lens, we actually are thinking as the buyer would with our clients all the way upstream, so that when they finally get in front of a buyer, they're locked and loaded. Everything's dialed in. We've asked all the questions we think they're going to ask, so that we're really prepared. And we go in there for a successful meeting and hopefully a long-term partnership.
Just an easier win, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of groups that kind of do what we do can get you the meeting and kind of say, all right, good luck. Like, we're not that. We're an extension of their team. And so we really try to prepare them as we would if we were on the merchant side, but now we're just on the other side, getting them ready for success, finding white spaces, solving challenges, coming with solutions. Instead of bringing problems to the buyer, we're bringing solutions. That's really what we focus on.
Fantastic. Yeah. So obviously, it just goes without saying, your path is essentially, there's just no question as to whenever you're presenting a client, there's just no question. There's no gray area. There's no lack of knowledge.
Our goal is that we want to make it so easy that all the buyer has to say is yes. They don't have to think. They don't need to challenge. Hopefully we did all that stuff upstream for them. And so we present something that's so bulletproof, as much bulletproof as we can get, so that it makes so much sense that the buyer just says yes. And that's our goal. And so we work with our clients. Again, we say that we like to work upstream, think upstream, and swim upstream, which is one of Sam Walton's key principles. So that's really how we like to work, and what makes us a little different than everybody else in town.
That's awesome. Let's go back to Walmart real quick.
Yeah.
So I would fair to say that would you say that your biggest victory was probably the omni-channel, or is there something else that comes to mind?
Yeah, we had a lot of big wins. I was not known.
What are some of them?
I was not known for being the status quo guy. I definitely like to swim upstream, disrupt retail, and take crazy bets. One of the other ones I was kind of famous for was the Disney princess carriage. So
really?
This was an item that when I first saw the item, I knew instantly that it was going to be a huge hit. The supplier at the time, shout out to Mike Traw, he's still local, said that they were going to sell it to Toys R Us and that they were kind of working on it, but he really wanted to show it to me first. I saw the potential in that item, and so we worked on it. I told him, I was like, hey, it's got to be Walmart exclusive. I'm going to work with you on this. Let's get cranking on it. We worked on it for like 18 months before it ever hit the market, trying to think through every detail. And so if you think about battery powered ride-on cars, back then it was just like Jeeps and cars and like nothing really cool, like nothing really different,
Same old.
nothing for girls. Like it was a very boy dominated category with tractors and trucks and cars. So like to have a premium, really cool item for girls, I thought was a huge white space. And so it was a $400 item. And so super high price. Everyone thought I was crazy for really going after it and wanting to go big with it. And so we actually had the Walmart holiday meeting where you're bringing all the store managers in. You see what items are hot, what items are not. We created a really cool display. You'd be proud of this. It was a rotating display, kind of like at a car dealership with slowly rotating.
Nice.
And it was a big 24-volt princess carriage, and all the store managers went nuts over it.
That's awesome.
And so we knew right then, when the stores get excited, you got something really good. That season, we shipped, as soon as goods came in, we shipped them all out to stores like instantly, like clockwork. We were chasing like crazy. It actually ended up being the #1 toy in the industry that
awesome.
year, and it was exclusive at Walmart. So that was a really fun one too.
Yeah,
that was 2016. So that was a good one.
That's awesome. Do you have any others? See, I love toy stores. We have, as you know, we have a little bit of background there. Toys are fun. Anything in that area, in that category, is just great. Do you have any others?
I mean, we were not afraid to try anything. We launched gas-powered ride-ons during my tenure. So go-karts, mini bikes, ATVs, UTVs. Cause a lot of heartburn from the store sometimes when you're shipping them UTVs. Yeah. But we did that. We launched the hoverboard business. So that was I
didn't know that. That
was an idea that, Justin Bieber was riding around on, and it caught wind on social media, and everyone wanted the hoverboards. So we took that from zero to, close to $200 million.
That's awesome.
Over that tenure. The omni-channel thing was one that I was probably the most proud of, because we volunteered to take on double the work, and we did it. And we figured it out. Like it wasn't easy. The first year or two was a lot of learning, but we really thrived with that. And thinking of Walmart holistically, and like what makes sense for stores, what makes sense for .com, what makes sense for both. Like how do we have a strategy for everything so that every item has a path to be successful is a lot of fun. So that we had some fun while we were at Walmart for sure.
That's awesome. Well, let's talk about, we talked about the good. Let's talk about the bad.
Oh yeah.
So what was a big struggle, or if you could go back in time, something you wished you hadn't have been a part of?
I think when I look at it, good buyers are not afraid to take risks, because if you don't take risks, you're not going to find the princess carriages of the world. You're not going to discover hoverboards. And so, just like in baseball, batting average might be low, but you try to hit some home runs and things are good. I mean, I had lots of items I tried or tested or bought and didn't work out, but I was never afraid of that, because I knew I could find the next best thing if I was doing that type of stuff. So I had lots of failures. I remember one time I shipped in gas powered kind of, Vespas or mopeds into college stores. Didn't really tell all the leadership kind of all of those things that I was doing. And Andy Barron, the EVP at the time, saw it in stores and sent an email like, what the hell is this? And I was like, uh-oh. So I had to get out of that one. But, lots of, as a merchant, you're always going to have items that don't do well. You always have items that'll be in the bottom 10%, bottom 20% of the portfolio or whatever. And so the goal is to just continuously refining that so that all items get elevated. But I struck out lots of times for sure.
Did you ever have one that that you're like, there's no way, and then it turned out,
Yeah, for sure. No, I remember when I was associate buyer, so young buck kind of coming through the ranks. I tell a story a lot, so I'll always remember it. But we had a bike helmet that looked just like an eyeball. Like it had a big iris and pupil and like red veins going through it. And I was like, man, this looks awesome. This is so cool. So I bought a feature of it, and it had like a 4% sell-through. It was like the worst helmet ever. Awful, didn't sell. Nobody wanted it. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. But I think that also showed you like personal taste. You have to put your personal taste aside. So when you become a merchant, like you got to think through the customer lens, not your own lens. And I think some merchants have struggles with that, but like you can't use your personal bias and let that sway over.
So how do you do that? What's the trick there?
I think it's all about like listening to the customer, seeing what else is in the market, what's working well. And it's really just talking to people. The more feedback you get on items, the better. I mean, even if you have a team of 4 people and you say, hey guys, does everyone like this? Does somebody not? Like listening to why people do or don't like things can tell you a lot, even if it's a small sample size. But again, you got to take some risks because you never know when you're going to find the next best thing.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, so let's talk about the other side. Well, actually, no. Before we get off, let me ask one more question. What is the biggest takeaway from Walmart? If you had to chisel it down to this is the overall message that impacted Reid Thornton's life.
I mean, I loved Walmart. My wife still works at Walmart. We bleed blue. Walmart taught you a lot about running a business, managing relationships. I think that's another big thing in this business is, relationships are key, and they helped us get to where we're at, kind of in our with our new company and everything. But you learn so much. You don't know how much you learn and how much you absorbed at Walmart until maybe you leave. But you've been battle tested. You've gone through problems. It's really about problem solving. And I think Walmart was invaluable, and everyone there I'm sure is loving it too, just because they're learning so much about business and how to solve problems and to make things work. So,
okay. So let's switch over to the Spark side of things. How do you know, is it that same gut feeling like when you see, when I know you obviously, just like other people that have left Walmart, you have relationships there. So you see opportunities there already to help people,
sure.
Right? But I know that you and your team, just because of our relationship, have done a good job in finding those, hidden gems. So how do you find those hidden gems? What is it that makes you say whenever you see that product? Is it the same gut reaction that you had?
Same thing as a merchant. Yeah. I mean, we can walk any category knowing, if there's a brand or a possible product that could get in. We walk the category as a merchant. All right, what's this merchant strategy? What's the white space? Where are they good? Like, where do they not need help? Where could they use some help? Like, where could we elevate the assortment? We can walk any category in the store and kind of look at what we think the buyer strategy is at the time and decide, all right, are we partnering with someone that can elevate that strategy, make it better product, better price, better brand, whatever. And really, that's the first step we do when we talk to any potential client, walk the stores. What's Walmart doing? Where can they use some help? And we're pretty good at kind of finding the ones that we think has a really good shot and ones that's like, man, I don't think you're quite there. I don't think you're going to help Walmart. You might just be a Me Too guy or another option, but truly finding the people that can disrupt a category and elevate it is where you're going to see the most success.
All right. So in dealing with it, let's say, all right, you see the potential. You see this company, you like the product, you think this is it. You have those first few meetings. Have you ever had a situation where, let's just say, the ownership was their own worst enemy kind of deal?
Yeah, I mean, I think we want to partner with people that are open to listen. You know, if they think they got it all figured out, then they don't need to work with us. It's like, good luck, man. Go ahead. But I think like clients that are open to listening and open to feedback, you know, a lot of the things we will challenge clients a lot. Like, hey, we need to be better at A, B, or C, or hey, we need to relook at packaging. We need to relook at, you know, the pricing strategy or whatever the case may be. And so, you know, the best clients are the ones that listen. And we have had some that think they know it all. And if that's the case, then it's not a right fit for either of us, because we really see ourselves as an extension of their team. And if they're not willing to collaborate and listen, then it's not going to be a good fit in the long run. So, you know, it doesn't make sense. And we kind of part ways.
I understand. So I'm a new guy. I've got the greatest idea in the world. This is gonna be a hit. What's the word I'm looking for? What's the filter that Reid is gonna, you know, put me through?
I mean, I think there's a lot of check boxes we need to check. So as a company, again, it's all about product. What's the product? Are we innovating? Are we finding a white space? Are we doing something different, or are we just a Me Too guy? It's like, okay, if we're doing something different, great. Are we priced right? Are we within the pricing ladder that buyer's kind of working within? Are we offering a value to what they're currently doing? And then it's like, can you service the business? Can you service Walmart? You know, a lot of guys can't really start shipping Walmart out of their garage. So are you set up for success? Do you have domestic warehousing, EDI, all the things you need to do to...
Do you guys assist with that if you see the need?
Yeah, we can help with anything. We've been through it all. So we can, if we don't know how to do it, we know somebody to point them in the right direction to help them with it. So being in retail for 15 years or whatever it's been, we've seen a lot. Right. And so we typically know how to navigate a lot of that, but we learn something new every day too. So that's awesome. You never know what curveball is going to be thrown at you.
All right. So what is your advice then to somebody that's, you know, this is, I know that you're not going to be able to summarize this, you know, just as into the finest details, because we'd be here all day. Top level, some new guy got a new innovative product, wants to get out there. What is your advice to them? What's the checks that they need to look through? Is it essentially what you just told her?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, it's first you got to start with innovative product, finding a white space. What makes you different? Why would Walmart want to partner with you than the people they already got? You know, I think there needs to be a clear reason why and how you're offering a better value to the customer than what they currently have. That's step number one. Like you have to win with product. You have to have a strategy on why you can be successful at Walmart and help the buyer be more successful within that category is really the biggest.
What do you find when you go to a buyer meeting? What is it and again, a lot of people don't understand this side of the industry, so I ask these questions. You know, what is it you go armed to the teeth to make that sale? What is it you have in place that the buyer wants to hear? Yeah,
I mean, typically we like to do all that work for the buyer up front. So we'll go into a meeting and say, here's your category today. We'll show pictures of the mod. We'll circle the items that we think we can disrupt and replace. And again, our job is to make it as easy for the buyer. We just want them to say yes. That we want to do all the work up front so that they understand our strategy. They agree with our strategy. They agree that they see the potential in what we're saying. And at the end, they're like, yeah, this makes perfect sense. Like that's our goal. And so we really try to do a lot of that work up front. We want to make sure we're priced right. We want to make sure the dimensions of the items fit on the mod. We want to make sure, you know, that we've thought through every challenge that buyer's going to give us as much as we can. And so that at the end of the meeting, they say, this makes sense. And that's our goal.
That's very nice. So let's talk about your partner for a moment. So who is your partner?
Yeah. So Adam McFain and I are the ones that co-founded Spark Strategy.
And y'all met at Walmart?
We met at Walmart. He was actually put on my team as an assistant or associate. He wasn't even an associate buyer. I think he was like an assistant. He kind of went through the buyer trainee program just like I did, just 8 years later, whatever the case may be. So he was kind of placed on my team, and he actually started with me the same time I volunteered to do the omni-channel thing. So what makes him a little different is he learned stores and .com from day one versus everyone else either learned all stores or all .com, and nobody really knew both. We always like to say he was like the first person that learned both at the same time, because starting on day one, he was kind of thrown into this test with me. And that's what made him different too. So, because he really got to learn both sides of the fence simultaneously as he grew up through the ranks at Walmart.
He's an ex-football player. He's a Razorback. He's an ex-Razorback kicker, right?
Yes.
Yes. I've what's funny is if they don't know him for Spark, if his name is mentioned, it's like, yeah, he played for the Razorback.
I have seen fans recognize him in the wild.
Really?
And it was very interesting.
That's awesome. Yeah, that Razorback celebrity. So it carries on. So what made you guys decide? Why did you guys partner up?
Yeah. So we worked really well together for about 5 years at Walmart. I took him under my wing, like Craig and Andy kind of took me under their wing when I was growing up as a young pup, through Walmart. And we joked that we spent more time with each other for 5 years than we did with our wives, because we were working, 10-hour days, 5 days a week, all the time. And, we just spent a lot of time together, and we work really well together. Adam and I think differently, but when we come together, we always come up with some good ideas or kill some bad ones. But he was he's one of the hardest working people I've ever met. When he joined my team, he took ownership of things and ran with it, and he wasn't afraid to ask questions and learn, and he got really good at what he did. And we just formed a bond and a friendship that has happened ever since. So
that's awesome. So, which we'll have him on here in a few weeks, hopefully, if he'll return my emails. So any idea why he went from Razorback to Walmart?
Same kind of thing. I mean, he got a great opportunity for that buyer trainee program, and he took it. He'll tell you the full story, but he had some calls from NFL teams to visit some camps and do some stuff, but he was like, I'd rather take a for sure job than a maybe job.
Really?
Smart kid. But yeah, I think he'll tell you, I think he has like a call from the Arizona Cardinals and some other stuff that, they invited him out to do some kicking camps, but, he got a good opportunity and he wanted to start his career and start his life in Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas too. So that's awesome.
So speaking of the yin and yang, because that's always what I describe in partnerships, there's usually where you suffer, the successful ones, where you suffer, they're good, and where they suffer, you're good, kind of thing. And then there's the commonalities that really just jive. So let's get real. Where does Adam outdo?
Adam he loves to throw out ideas. Like, he can come up with ideas all the time. I'm more of the reserved, poke holes in the ideas and kind of be more skeptical and think things out. But we always joke that, like, Adam will throw 10 things out there. 9 of those ideas are probably pretty bad, but there's one that's really good that we can take that and run with it.
That's usually how it goes.
Adam, and I'll tell this story too, Adam actually had the idea for Spark Strategy kind of first. He pushed me to say, we can do this, we can do something special outside of Walmart. And help people that need help. And that's the beauty, is we help suppliers. We also help Walmart too. So while we don't work there, we're still working with them, for them, to help them be more successful. But Adam actually had the idea first, and I take a lot of risks in my business. I'm a very more risk averse in my personal life. So I was like, I'm going to have a kid soon. I have a great career at Walmart. I don't know. So he pushed me to kind of think outside the box and helped push me to kind of make the jump as well.
That's awesome. So would it be fair to say that you are the pessimist and he is the optimist?
No, I think I'm the realist. You're the realist, and I think
that's what that's what pessimists say. That's the term pessimist
and realist. Maybe it's more. It's better than the phrase.
That's I don't know there's some truth. So I tell everybody all the time. But here's the reality. So. Those definitions are correct, but so are mine. But there's don't get me wrong, I dream, I have visions for things, that kind of thing. I think every business owner has some of that in them. They have to. But that pessimist, or as you would call, realist, that has to exist.
Yeah.
Because, I always tell my crew all the time, I am not the optimistic guy. I am not. Now, don't get me wrong. If I see something, there's an opportunity, I'm like, there's an opportunity here. This is a thing, yeah. Right? But whenever we're dreaming big, or we're looking at a project, or we're trying to think, that the cliche term outside of the box, you have to be grounded in that reality of what's the worst case scenario.
Yep.
If we're going to go for this, what do we have to lose in this? And I tell everybody all the time, I said, once you get that base of total suckness, anything better than that, it's a win.
Yeah.
And so I think that has to be in place. But you also have to be optimistic in your thinking. You have to, kind of set that vision. And I totally agree on the ideas, because Lord knows I've had way too many horrible ideas. But the ones that stick, and they make up for everything else.
It's always good to have a sounding board, because all of us have crazy ideas. And it's always good to have a sounding board, someone you trust, someone that could help you, just to give you a different perspective. Mm-hmm. Because there's probably, in every idea, there's something there, mm-hmm. but it's not quite flushed through yet. That's what me and Adam always say, is he'll have an idea and there's like, I really like a part of it. It's like, mm-hmm. how do we take that part and make that successful? Or like, how do we take that and run with it? And that's how it's gone for us for the last 4 years. So,
well, there's that's good to have. It's good to have that kind of push and pull going on, and somebody to say, look, man, get out of your own head on this, or look, man, this is crap.
Yep.
And that's where you see some of the biggest failures. Like, we had the opportunity to work, this was months ago, with the Mr. Beast team and on their chocolate bars. And we were told, the story of, and it's nothing, that people don't know if they can't, they can look it up and see this. So I'm not just like telling, the juicy things I shouldn't say or some kind of thing like that. But he decided he wanted to release his now, from what I'm understanding, successful candy bar line, right? But the first round of it, he went off of his own taste. The candy bars that he put out were the recipes that he appreciated. And he just thought, I guess, that, well, I have the best taste in the world. Sure. Turns out the marketplace, that's what your team is for.
Yep.
Personal tell on myself. So, as you know, I'm kind of a goofball. I like to have fun.
Absolutely. That's why we get along.
Yeah. I like to have fun. And so I thought, what would be hilarious is if we just for fun went by and visited some of our clients, and because we love guerrilla marketing. We like doing crazy stuff. And I was like, I know what we're going to do. We're just going to show up to some clients, and somebody's going to be wearing a gorilla costume, and we're just going to say, hey, we're here just guerrilla marketing. And then my team was like, please don't do this. and then I was like, but I'm telling you, that would be hilarious. And like, it might be funny for a second. I was like, well, who's using a gorilla? And literally like a week later, I'm driving by, and Carmart has got a huge gorilla out there like waving at people, and a big blow up gorilla. I'm like, you know what? Hey, maybe that's where that push and pull comes together. Yeah. So anyhow, good idea. It just wasn't my idea, and I'm glad everybody talked me off the ledge. Okay, so getting into now we're talking big picture on things. How many years are we into Spark Strategy now?
Almost 4. Wow. About 3.5, almost 4.
Sweet Moses. That's crazy.
It's been a while.
Man.
Almost a bachelor's degree.
That's awesome. Working on your master's.
That's right. Working. Trying.
Okay, so what is it? Let's speak to the entrepreneurial side of you. Okay. And these are important topics, because a lot of people, everybody always says, oh, yeah, we should just start a business. And I've been there. same, What does it take to start a business? Now, how many employees do you have now?
We have 8.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. So 8. So, let's go back to 4 years ago.
Yep.
Starting out, was it everything that you anticipated it was going to be? Because here's the thing, the way I see this is, before you answer, you've got 2 roles going on. So obviously you have the expertise that you had at Walmart, and this is going to help you be successful at Walmart. But you're actually doing 2 things at once. You're finding newer business owners or newer products, while also you yourself being a new business, selling services. So how, what were the struggles? Was it all just lollipops and marshmallow clouds?
No.
So let's talk about it.
That's the thing.
Talk about it.
You can go to school for however many years you want to, but nobody teaches you how to start a business.
Right. Yeah.
So, I think that was new. I think what you asked what it takes to start a business. I think it takes grit. Like it takes, you got to be able to roll up your sleeves and figure stuff out. We were doing stuff that we didn't know how to do or what to do or that we needed to do. So it's always a learning process, I think. But as long as you have a plan, that's what's super important. What's your plan? And what if plan A doesn't work out? What's plan B? So I think, for us, we put our heads together for a lot of hours to all right, what's our plan? How do we want to do this? What do we want this to look like? And where we're at today is completely different than where we thought it would be 4 years ago. So I think you got to take, opportunities come and a lot of them are really good and you want to take them. And so things have shifted. We started just me and Adam and we didn't know what that would look like a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road. Now we have 8 people and, things are rocking and rolling. And the best part of it is that everyone on our team is like family. It's basically just our extended family outside of the home. So, everyone gets along together. We've all worked with each other for years. We all know each other. We know our strengths. We know our weaknesses. And we all just work really well together. So things have shifted from day one for sure.
And it's amazing that you've been able to do that within 40-hour weeks.
Yeah, I wish. I actually have a joke that once I put my kids down for bed, that's when shift 2.0 starts. Yeah. So I work a lot of shift 2.0s.
I've received those emails.
Yeah, between like 8:30, 10:30 at night, you might get one or two from me.
Or text messages.
whatever it takes.
Well, you see, that's another great point too, is that, so, the hardest pill that I've had to swallow in my entire career, doesn't matter where I've been, is the 8 to 5 mentality. And I think that you can have a great life doing an 8 to 5 mentality, having that. But I think that it's a limitation, though. But it all depends on what you want. And I don't know anybody that's known for, turning and burning it and, creating great things, doing it within a 40-hour work week. I just don't. And it's a struggle for me because I've always been that way. Like, I'm the guy that, especially in the early days too. That's why I'll get sometimes, believe it or not, young guys will come to me looking for some, entrepreneurial, insight, and nothing will make my blood pressure spike than that. It's almost like you're, entitled to success within 40 hours. It just doesn't happen. Like, I was the guy that was ready to, I would be like, if an email came in at 9:15 at night, I had my phone on me. If an email came in.
So was I.
I was right back, no problem. We're right there. And I'm still that way today. Unless I'm in a burnout phase where I'm like, okay, I've got to put this down, but I still do it.
I think this conversation, it talks about like passion. Like if you check the box, clock in and clock out, that's a job. You're doing it for a paycheck. You're paying the bills, whatever. If you have the passion about your job and you care and want to, those are the people that are working when they need to work, right? And it's because you care, you're passionate about your business or your job, or you want to succeed. And, it's hard for me. I don't think I've ever just worked the 8 to 5. You know, like I've always wanted to be the best in my craft or the best at what I'm doing. And like sometimes it takes a little bit longer, you know, and I think that the people that do that do it because they're passionate about it. The people that just do the 8 to 5, they're not in a job where they're truly passionate about what they're doing. And so that's kind of the way I look at it.
Yeah, I'm the same, you know, and again, I don't have anything against it necessarily. I can get frustrated with it, but I also understand if that's the lifestyle you want. I don't understand. I couldn't be that way. You know, that's just not in my DNA. It's just not.
I hear you.
Well, would you have any other advice off the top of your head for, you know, people from an entrepreneurial? Well, I mean, if you could go back, what were some of the mistakes, you know, that you had in the beginning or you wish you would have done differently?
I don't think there's mistakes. I would say, though, that if you have an idea, don't be afraid to jump. I think that was something that Adam kind of showed me and taught me because I was very afraid to jump. But obviously, once we did everything right to make sure that it was successful. So it's like if you're thinking about starting a business or if you have a great idea or whatever, you know, don't be afraid to jump. Just have a plan. And if that plan doesn't work, have a backup plan.
It's going to change.
Yeah. Everything pivots. Things happen. Things come your way. Opportunities come your way that you don't see coming. And you read and react to that, right? Like for us, we've hired some of our first people because we had more clients than we thought we would, and we needed more help, right?
That's a great problem.
But it's, you know, you ask us how many people we'd have or how many clients we'd have 4 years in, we didn't know. We didn't know who they'd be. We didn't know what it would look like. We had no idea. We knew that we were good at something and we could help people be good at something. You know, and thankfully success has kept coming our way and we're growing and helping more people. So I think it's, you know, you never know what's going to happen when you start, but don't be afraid to jump would be my advice.
I think that's a good one. Same thing. We did the exact same thing. And when me and Jesse, who's no longer a partner now, but when me and him started it was, I had mentioned it, and then he came back and said, let's do it. And by that time I'd forgotten about doing it. I was like, what are you talking about? But he's like, let's do it. I was like, yeah, this makes sense. And then you just kind of get a game plan. But I'll laugh though, and you've hit the nail on the head. And everybody needs to know this. It is going to change. Your business plan is going to change. To me, a business plan coming from the finance side of things, and that's a good plug for young entrepreneurs. Have a relationship with a bank and have a good relationship with a CPA. They will save your life. But you know, I laugh at the initial business plan of almost 15 years ago.
Yeah,
it's laughable. I literally every now and then I have a folder of kind of like the history of design steins that I'll go back and we're in such a fast-paced industry that sometimes we don't stop and smell the roses. We get a victory.
100%.
We get that victory and we move to the next one, and that's just life. But it's kind of overwhelming for us when you take a step back and take a look at the humble beginnings as opposed to what we're doing now and then all the stuff in between. It makes you very appreciative for the journey. A lot of hard lessons along the way, but the business plan is nothing, I mean, not even close.
No.
Not even close. And the business plan, you know, as far as from what I started to say a second ago, the finance piece of it, it's really just to instill confidence in people. You know, they're like, these guys have at least thought this through to a point where they feel like that they can, but, you know, execute this. But life has a funny way of saying no to a lot of things. But in doing that, just like you alluded to, you have to pivot, you have to move. And then whenever it takes you this direction, then it becomes your job to make the most success of that.
Yep. Yeah.
That's what
I'd say our business plan was good for maybe the first year, and then everything else shifted and moved and grooved until whatever opportunities were thrown our way. So I totally agree with what you're saying.
That's it. Well, Reid, we're about out of time.
All right.
But I thank you for being on here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And
it was a blast.
You'll come again?
Sure, if you want me.
You'll be here. Thanks, Reid.
Awesome. Thanks, man.